Hey guys, welcome to Bourbon School. It's Brian, and today I'm going to give you my list of 6 bourbons, 6 popular bourbons, some might even say beloved bourbons, that we here at Bourbon School, we just don't get it. Coming up next. All right, so before I get started with our list, let me explain. These are bourbons that are popular, people like them, you hear about a lot about them out in the whiskey tubes, and people in general seem to love them. And after doing this for a couple of years, we've tried all these and we just don't get it. I don't know, sometimes, as they say, palates are all different. And always remember, you drink what you like. You can totally disagree with this list. You drink what you like. But these are bourbons that, for one reason or another, just didn't hit for us when we tried them. I'll get this one right off the bat because everybody knows this one. Blue Note Juke Joint, uncut, unfiltered. I have said this before and I'll explain it again. When I first saw reviews of this or read people's comments on this and had people recommend this to us, the words that they used to describe it were butterscotch, snickerdoodle, like all this amazing stuff. Like if you know us, you know we like stuff on the sweeter side, that buttery caramel flavor notes. We love all that. So I was like, yes, let's go. And what a disappointment. The first bottle I got almost burned my face off, and that's all it did. There was no flavor whatsoever. The second bottle here, you can see, you can go back and look at the last time I talked about this bottle on a video, and that level is probably not changed. I do not drink this. This is a terrible bottle. I have gotten 2 bad ones now, and that is enough for me. I do not need to get a third one. They actually just had a pickup in Buffalo for 50 bucks, and I passed because there's no way I'm going to be disappointed again. I know people like this, and I know there's probably some picks out there that people have really loved and might be really good, but I'll never know. I don't get it on Blue Note. I don't understand how it is so well reviewed, and this one is probably going to stay that full for a very long time. Okay, next on the list, and I want everybody to be clear, this is not Buffalo Trace hate, because we actually did a series of videos way back when about being Buffalo Trace haters, and maybe we're wrong, and we found out that Buffalo Trace actually held up really well against some. But the 2 I'm going to put on this list are Weller 12 and Weller Special Reserve. I think these are 2 supremely disappointing bottles. I mean, the Special Reserve, it's a $30 or $35 bottle, and that's about where it should be. I do not like it. I don't understand why people chase after it, and especially pay a secondary price for Special Reserve. It's a little silly in my opinion. Weller 12 is another one. Now, I got my first bottle of Weller 12 at Sheridan. Wine and Liquor, Kathy hooked me up, had one in the back, $52.99, and I felt like the king of the damn world. Like I got it, like I got a Weller on my shelf, a Weller 12, and I knew people were paying $300 and $400 for it in some places. And boy, oh boy, was I disappointed. Man, that was probably one of my most disappointing bottles because it had been hyped up so much. I don't get it with Weller 12. It's watered down. It's got very little character. It doesn't have the 12 years in it. Like it doesn't drink like it's a 12-year-old bourbon. I was so supremely disappointed in that one. And the funny thing is, there's other Wellers that I love. I got this CYPB right here just a few weeks ago at our local raffle. I had tried it at Brian Fisher's house from Buffalo Bourbon Enthusiasts, and I loved it. And I had the opportunity to grab one at the raffle, and I grabbed it. I love Weller 107, Antique 107. We tasted it right here on the channel and loved it. I wish I could find it, but it's impossible to find around here unless you want to pay, again, $300 or $400. But Weller 12 and Weller Special Reserve are just supremely disappointing. I don't understand the hype around them and why people go after them so hard. But those ones, you know what? All you out there who go after them, you can have my share. It's all yours. Okay, next on the list, I'm going to go Smoke Wagon. All right, so Smoke Wagon. I got a bottle of Smoke Wagon Uncut Unfiltered a couple years ago when I really started to buy more bourbon. I used to be a 1 or 2 bottle kind of guy, and then I grabbed more. I started collecting. And Smoke Wagon was one of those bottles that I grabbed to start my collection. I bought it uncut, unfiltered. It was about $75, and I thought it was really good. But now that I've had it up against other MGP bottles, things like Doc Swinson's and Penelope Barrel Strength, and even like Old Scout Barrel Strength, I don't think they do good things with MGP. I've had the small batch. I think it's terrible. I've had the bottled in bond. I don't like it. And the uncut, unfiltered, while it's good, I could probably think of maybe 5 bottles of MGP barrel strength bourbon that I would pick before it, and every single one of them is cheaper. I have a Doc Swinson's store pick over here that's exceptional, and it was $15 cheaper. Doc Swinson's Blender's Cut, about $25 cheaper. Smoke Wagon Uncut Unfiltered, I don't think they're doing great things with MGP, and I just don't get it. Sorry, guys. All right, next on the list. I don't mean to come down on Jim Beam too hard, but we actually have 2 Beam products in here. Sorry. But I mean, we love Knob Creek. Basil Hayden's. I don't get Basil Hayden's, even for a beginner. I know a lot of people say, oh, give this to a beginner. It's low proof, it's flavorful. I disagree wholeheartedly. There is probably a list of 10 bourbons I would give somebody who was a beginner drinker before this. I honestly think that something like this would probably turn somebody off to drinking bourbon. I know it has its place. I know there's people who like to drink lower proof. But for me, the 80 proof, the $50 to $60 price tag, and just the lack of flavor make this a bottle I don't get. And I wouldn't recommend to anybody, even if they were just starting. Go with an Old Forester 100. Go with a standard Buffalo Trace. Go with a Knob Creek 9-year over a Basil Hayden's. I just don't see a place for this. I think more than one person out there has said it's bourbon flavored water, and I think that's exactly where it sits. There's nothing appealing about this to me, and I know there's people who like it, and I know they have other finishes, and they have a toasted and the dark rye and the red wine cask. I've tried them all. Disappointed in them all. Basil Hayden's, I don't get it. Okay, next up on the list, and I actually have one bottle of this upstairs, but I forgot to go get it. So I'll put one here. Old Elk. Now, the first Old Elk I ever had was a store pick. It was a store pick of the wheat whiskey, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you, it was like drinking pure gasoline. It was terrible. I've had several other pours of Old Elk since, and I have not enjoyed any of them. The one Old Elk that I think is good, and I only have it because it was a gift, because this is a more expensive bottle, it's definitely over $100, is the Old Elk Wheat and Rye. I really do enjoy that one. It's like dessert in a glass. So that is one I have definitely enjoyed, but every other Old Elk that I've tried has been a serious disappointment. I know people love it. I know people go crazy for the higher end bottles like the Cigar Cut and the Infinity Blend and all that stuff. And I will be honest, I haven't tried any of that just because we don't kind of swim in those waters price-wise. But the standard-ish bottles of Old Elk that you can find on the shelf, first of all, are pretty pricey. I mean, you can very quickly get up into the $60, $70, $80 range with Old Elk. And I haven't had one that I thought was worth the price at any price level. So Old Elk is one I don't get. Maybe in the comments you can give me a suggestion for one that maybe you have really enjoyed and you think might be the one to grab. But so far it's been underwhelming, and Old Elk, I don't get it. All right, guys, before we go any further, I just want to give you a reminder that tonight at 9 o'clock, the Whiskey 6 rides again, and tonight's special guest is going to be Todd and Andy from 21090. We're going to be tasting their Corbin Cash Rye Pick. This is sent right from Todd. Their Corbin Cash Rye Pick that unfortunately sold out, but they were nice enough to give us a sample so we can try it out and talk about that. And then we're going to be trying their Hazmat Bourbon Single Barrel. This is an 8-year bourbon from Corbin Cash, 150 proof. So we're going to be tasting that on the stream as well. And then, talking whiskey and whatever with Todd and Andy. So make sure you tune in tonight at 9 o'clock over on the Whiskey 6. And if you're not subscribed to the Whiskey 6, why don't you go do that now? Okay, last bottle. And this one might be surprising, but I think I have a good explanation about why this is. Okay, I'm going with Booker's. Now you'll notice I have an empty bottle here. I drank it. Okay, I drank the whole thing, but I don't think I get it with Booker's. It is an expensive bottle. It's creeping up to $100. Now I got this one. This is the Charlie's batch. This is the 2301 batch, 126.6 proof. And I got this at Total Wine in Louisville. And I think it was like $92 or something. It's fine, but people really do go after this stuff, and I just don't get it. I don't see how this is much better than going and getting a $60 or some places $50 Knob Creek single barrel. I don't find this, I've put this up against an Old Forester single barrel and Four Roses single barrel and some other barrel proofs like a Stag. It doesn't even come close. And I think one of the reasons, and I've said this about Elijah Craig barrel proof too, I think we might have missed the boat on Booker's. I feel like the best batches are the older batches, and perhaps the stock or the barrels that go into Booker's might be thinning. I'm not 100% certain on that, but I've had that feeling about Elijah Craig barrel proofs too, because people have talked about how great the old Elijah Craig barrel proofs are. And since we got into this game about 2 years ago, it seems like people are much more split on the Elijah Craig barrel proofs. So maybe that's what's happening with Booker's too. Like the older batches were way better, and we kind of came to the game a little late. But I was not overly impressed with the Charlie's batch, and I probably would not buy another Booker's. I don't get the hype behind it. I think it's fine, and I think it's maybe my fourth or fifth best barrel proof bourbon I had on the shelf when it was on the shelf. But now that it's empty, I'm like, I'm good. I had my Booker's. I'm good with it. I don't need to chase after another one. And, you guys can have my share because I just don't get it on this one. All right, so there you have it. That's our list of 6 bourbons that are real popular out there. People love them, but we just don't seem to get it. They don't really hit for us. So first thing I want you to do is in the comments, let us know what is a bourbon that's a popular bourbon that people seem to love that just hasn't hit for you, and let us know what that is in the comments. And the other thing I want you to do is make sure you like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another episode of Bourbon School. And cheers, guys.